Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Newsday Tuesday. Just waiting for a few people to come in here. Good evening. Thank you for joining. So it's Tuesday. I'm Dr. Cathy Owens-Oliver, and you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also go to my website, DrCathyO.com. I'm usually bringing you information about educational effectiveness, how to improve what happens in classrooms and schools all over the country and Canada. I've been making it a weekly habit to share some education issue from the news on Tuesdays in an effort to not only keep you current, but keep you conscious about what is and isn't working in our educational system. In my consulting group, we work hard to address some of the systemic issues and assist school districts, state departments, and teacher education programs with problem solving. So if you've been watching the news at all this year, and especially in the last few weeks, then you know there's been a lot of discussion around the SAT, the Scholastic Aptitude test, and most of you know that that's an admissions test for college for a lot of students across the country. But colleges have begun to lessen the requirement around students having to take the Scholastic Aptitude test. I won't go into all the history about it. What I want to tell everybody tonight is the pandemic provides an opportunity and an environment for all of us to check our aptitude. Not attitude, but aptitude. What is systemic in the standardized testing arena is students being assessed according to what they quote unquote have achieved in their learning, what it is that they're supposed to know, how what they're supposed to know is designed. We grapple with all of those issues as educators. The bigger issue, though, is a matter of exposure. I started to label this video, we need more exposure, but I figured that could have been taken the wrong way, so I called it Check Your Aptitude. So here's the thing. Achievement really has to do with what people learn, not just students. So listen to me, parents, educators, adults, policymakers, all public citizens. Achievement is always about how we perform, on a test or some kind of an assessment, and it's usually based on knowledge that we have been presented. Aptitude is something different. People like to say that aptitude is, being gifted and talented and that everyone has a certain level of it or what have you. But in my 20 plus years of education, I know that aptitude is directly connected to exposure. It's directly connected to exposure. It is not that you can't know. The issue is that you don't know. As a test taker, as a student, as an adult, as a teacher, it's not that you can't know. It's just that you don't know. And there is a lot of stuff we don't know. People perish because they lack knowledge. They lack knowledge because they reject new information. So we don't perform as well as we would like to because our aptitude is limited. And aptitude is limited because our exposure is limited. I think that during this pandemic, and especially now during the summer, it's the appropriate time to get yourself exposed, get your children, nieces and nephews exposed, get your community and your friends, your family members exposed to new knowledge, to new information. We need to be ever learning. If I use terminology like requiem, cacophony, metronome, marimba, pianissimo, a lot of people who are listening to me right now who have any kind of musical inclination or background know that that's musical terminology. But if you haven't been exposed to the terminology, then you don't know it. Out of some of the words I said, you may have known enough of them to know they must have something to do with music, but then there may have been other things that you just didn't recognize at all. Why? Because you have not been exposed to it. So it's really important that you take advantage of this time to get exposure, to expose children and the people around you to new knowledge and new learning opportunities. Make it fun, make it interesting. Right now, because of social distancing and people still having stay-at-home, shelter-in-place orders, it's a great time for you to explore, other countries, new information, new ideas, even if you're doing it through television television and media and the internet, but it's important for you to just get some kind of exposure. Check your aptitude. There's just so much you don't know. And listen, what you don't know can hurt you. We tell kids when they're young, what you don't know can't hurt you. That's not true. What you don't know really can hurt you. Exposure to new information not only increases your aptitude, but it provides a way for you to just be more successful and to thrive in society. So think about things that you could learn and do this summer with your family that perhaps you haven't been doing before. If you're not an outside person, maybe you're an inside dweller, this is an opportunity for you to experience things outside. And I just don't mean yard work. That has its place. But boating, camping, hiking, all kinds of things to do outside. What you may not know about other countries, other cities, other states, it's just a great time to get exposed and get your kids exposed. So check your aptitude. Let me go back to the SAT. So the Scholastic Aptitude test has a lot of, I'm going to just say random facts and information that students are supposed to know and be able to guess well at in order to get in certain colleges. And colleges are backing away from that because of some of the scandal we've seen in the news. In some cases, I think it's probably been maybe considered sort of a discriminatory thing, or in some ways creating a certain disparity in performance. And here's the thing, if you got the grades and the money or a loan or whatever to get into college, then you should be given an opportunity to go. But that being said, the test is really about aptitude and not necessarily your gifts and talents when you're born, but what it is that you have been exposed to. I'm thinking of things in my life like growing up my entire childhood and not knowing anything about crab legs and soft shell crab, because I didn't come from a family where we had that. I only lived 2 hours from the beach, but we never went. So it wasn't until college that I got exposed to that. And I've always been a seafood lover, but I got exposed to these other things from the ocean as I got older. Exposure, and it expands your certain level of aptitude. I have joined a golf league. I'm playing much better now than I've been playing years ago. For years, I played averaging around 105, 103, 101. And it was always my goal, I got to break 100. Now, some of you don't even know what I'm talking about when I say break 100 because you haven't had the exposure. It's not that you can't know. It's just that you don't know. So if you were tested on this information and labeled or deemed limited or unknowledgeable, it would actually be inaccurate because you can't know what you haven't been exposed to. Some people can guess, but guessing doesn't determine that you have, a grounded level of knowledge. So in my golf game, I've really been improving. I've tried to get my score 99 and under. So in the last 3 weeks, I've been shooting in my golf game somewhere between 91, 94, 97. I got a 98 yesterday, but still it wasn't 100. Some of you, if you've not been exposed to golf terminology, you still don't know what I'm talking about, and you probably think higher numbers are better. 100 sounds like much better than a 91, but in golf, you want your score to actually be lower. I'm just giving you examples of aptitude and how you have to check your aptitude. Make a commitment to expose yourself to new knowledge, new learning, new opportunities this summer. If you are a parent, commit to exposing your children to new learning, new opportunities, new information, not because of the tests, because tests have been on hold everywhere, but because of the learning gap and the achievement gap. Students have learned less. They've had less opportunities for learning. Teachers have had less and more infrequent opportunities to really engage students in learning because of the online education environment. One thing about back to school we have to get right is that ensuring that the online education opportunity for our students is high quality learning and engagement. I'll come back to that at a different time. But in the meantime, as we prepare to go back to school and start thinking about reopening schools and what that should look like, you all as parents, aunties, uncles, big brothers, big sisters, siblings, what have you, grandma and nana, you need to be thinking about how to get young people's aptitude increased, and that only comes with more exposure. One of the things I thought I was going to absolutely hate when I was a teen was going to an opera. I can't tell you how much appreciation I have now for having had that exposure or that experience. I also grew up not knowing how to swim, not wanting to know how to swim, not being interested in learning how to swim, not ever taking a lesson in swimming, not in high school, nor in college, or now. I still don't know how to swim. I don't think I could survive. I have been to the beach quite a few times and floated around just a little bit on a paddle boat, but that is something I've not had the exposure. So check your aptitude. Hey, make a list, make a bucket list. What is it this summer that you just want to get more exposed to, learn more about, develop new skills, develop new knowledge, share that information with someone else in your family. Don't allow this pandemic to prevent you from living to the extent that it is possible. So it's a great time to do the normal things we do, read books and magazines, watch TV. But if you're an inside dweller, become an outside dweller. If you've never painted before, if you haven't been a decorator, if there's a business you always wanted to start, this is the right time for exposure. So check your aptitude. Aptitude is limited to exposure, and you need to get exposed to new knowledge and information, and you need to get students, children exposed to new knowledge and information. Start somewhere. Don't let this just be a regular summer. Nothing for us is normal anyway. All of us are adjusting to a new normal, but you want to make sure that you're getting exposure to new things and developing, more extensive depth of knowledge. For those of you who are of the Christian faith, you're probably understand the scripture that says people perish because they lack knowledge. I said that a few minutes ago. So the pursuit of knowledge is critical to our psychological, intellectual, spiritual, physical, our whole being, the pursuit of knowledge, whether it's about weight, whether it's about home decorating and home improvements, whether it is about business advancement and entrepreneurship, edupreneurship. It's just important for us to pursue more knowledge. So please, for the sake of children, especially all of the Black and brown children out there who are already falling prey to a systemic achievement gap, it is really important that you check your aptitude and theirs and ensure that they get exposure to new knowledge and information. Thank you for joining me on Newsday Tuesday with DrCathyO. Hope you'll tune in again. Follow me on all social media at DrCathyO, and have a good evening.